from about the beginning, it was called Bond International College. Then time marches on, and our understanding of what an international school is and what it can be is part of that change. People began to see that, yes, we can support these international learners, but in having these students here, we've created a very interesting setting to learn within that not only they can benefit from, but that local students can benefit from as well. So that when you go to school, you enter a very different environment than you would at the public school down the street. It's one that has these kids from around the world that speak all different languages and have different perspectives to offer on whatever is happening in the classroom. I think this is one of those schools where it's really great to just be there in the morning when the students are arriving. And in this case, there's a student that comes in, there's a piano in the lobby just inside the school. And this guy that comes in and plays the piano, and he's just phenomenally good and just very, very young. And it's one of those things that's just a minor little thing, but that seems to say more. And again, you walk through the school. I was being led through by Jane Phillips, and she runs the counseling. Just to see the people come up to her, and they're so warm, and they really know each other. There's a real friendliness between them. That's really what a school is all about, isn't it? It's just that kind of the daily experience and the experience that you have. And so I think seeing kids arrive at the beginning of the day is just a great window onto that world. One of the things you see when you do arrive at the school is that the playground is in front of it. So, you arrive to a place that sounds like a school. There's the young kids running around and having fun. Just seeing that activity, gaining a sense of what the school is through just the noise of kids playing. That's often your first impression of it. I think when people arrive, that's the thing they see first. By bringing all of the aspects of the program into one building, they sort of made everything stronger. The junior schools and the senior schools still have principals for each, John Healey for the junior and Phil Davies for the senior school. But it really brought all those other administrative functions together and just making just a more efficient sort of running of the school. So there's that benefit. But for the students, it was about seeing kids from other generations. You have all the ages, but you also have all that other diversity, including, the international diversity. It just makes it a richer experience. So there's more to work with. The administrative stuff is more efficient, but then you also have this broader experience of school life. And I think it also allows them to think more purposefully around, ages and stages, and really staging the learning so they know that when this child moves from this point in their education to that one, that they're really prepared for it, that there's been discussions, that the teacher accepting the student into the senior program knows something about that student already. They have somebody they can go to if they have a question, and they can go to a teacher or the principal and say, what about this kid? What about this? They can really share that information. I think something that the instructors really pride themselves on, as they should, is that it's a very friendly place. This is something that they'll mention, and it's something that they work towards. So making it a very open environment, making it a very friendly place, and knowing that the parents are welcome into the setting. That's important too, that they feel a part of it. And when you speak to parents of Bond, I think that's one of the things that they appreciate is that really feeling a part of their kid's school. Feeling a part of the community themselves, and they'll often mention that. The two principals really are very much equals. They really work together sort of as one principal in a way. They have the things that they work with, but they work very, very closely together, and neither of them has authority over the other. I think it's a very good setup in that regard. I think John Healey is a really delightful person to speak to because he has so much experience and so much expertise, and he doesn't really necessarily broadcast it at every moment, but he's seen a lot of things work and fail through, and et cetera, throughout his work as an instructor. I think the fact that he's worked with at-risk kids gives him also certain areas of expertise. When you have those sorts of experiences, you gain a perspective on what education is and what it means to really support a learner. And he understands that there is a foundation that must remain. Those basic literacies are absolutely essential. I liked when he talked about the Montessori program with me. He said, honestly, we maybe don't, stick absolutely to the letter of Montessori instruction. The Montessori program is important, and it is a Montessori program, but you're doing it for the students. You're not doing it in order to demonstrate the Montessori program. He's taking what he knows works and what works well, and he brings that to bear in the programs, and then otherwise, is flexible. Phil Davies has a lot of experience coming from that international side. So he learned sort of at the source of that kind of first generation of international schools in Canada. And he saw all the things that they did well. But he probably also saw some of the things that he felt could be improved upon. And one of them being that sense of community, that, a school can get too big. And that if kids have an opportunity to be lost in the shuffle, that's really not a good situation. That there has to be that sense of community so that kids know that they're known, their successes are celebrated, and maybe when things don't go as well, they know that that's being seen as well. And they can't just kind of gravitate to the back of the room and get lost in the shuffle. And so I think that's one of the things that he felt that the school could be for these students. It's a more intentional environment, it's more personal, and those are the things that he sought to bring to it. I think one of the things that makes the Bond program unique is that all the kids swim every week, that they have this really intensive swimming program. And it is a really nice element. It gets the kids active, but then gets them all these other skills that they need, and right on up to kind of lifeguard training. The history of Bond is really that idea of saying, how can we appeal to more learners? How can we build this add diversity to our student environment? And because knowing that that's good for everyone, that diversity serves everything. And so more recently, they partnered with a local organization to establish an elite basketball program, which again, it broadens out the student body in some interesting ways, adding another layer of diversity to life in the school, but it also gives the school something to really rally around in terms of, the basketball, the competitive basketball. So John Healey is the head of the junior school, and he's really brought a lot to the school in his time there. And so I think him in particular has really brought this notion that athletics absolutely needs to be central to the student experience, and it really is. So you have from the elite basketball teams, really those are teams that obviously you need to try out to be on. Students come to the school specifically to be in that program. But then there are the teams that you can just do recreationally, and obviously the swimming it can be recreational as well. So kids have a lot of opportunity to find whatever is right for them, but there is a very high rate of participation within the athletic program. I think what parents like most about the school is that it's so responsive. In bigger schools or other schools, if a parent has an issue or wants to talk to somebody about something, they can maybe get lost in the bit of red tape. And I think one of the parents that I was speaking to, her child wasn't thriving in the school he was at prior. And for her, this was all the difference. Now she's in a situation where she can just send an email or pick up the phone and have the conversation that she needs to have, ask the questions, and that everybody knows each other. There is that real accessibility to the administration and to the teachers, and I think that's what the parents really appreciate. The school has very good after-school and before-school programs, and there's a very wide window on each end, and it's covered in tuition, so it's not like an extra that you have to pay for. And this is very intentional, and I think John Healey was saying that he really wants it to serve its community. And so in this part of the world, the way you can serve the community, knowing it's in Scarborough and that traffic can be difficult, it's very hard for parents to say, I will be there at such and such a time. They for their own comfort, They need to know that there's a bit of wiggle room. They don't have to arrive at exactly this moment. They're not going to be penalized or something. And so those before and after school programs really address that. They're a way of saying to the families, we know the stresses that you're under. We're going to adapt our program to make sure it's comfortable for you. I think the thing that you really do need to experience is just those relationships of just being in there and seeing how people interact with one another. You really can't even know a school until you see that. But again, walking through the hallways and experiencing these people, seeing their excitements and seeing their interactions. Whenever you think of a school and you look at it in the abstract, you see it as just a school. And you look at its academic profile and different things. But every school is so much more than that. And in a way, every school isn't that at all. Although every school does deliver the academic program and challenges, and they graduate students and everything. But every school is a community unto itself. And every community sort of has its own character. And that's very true of Bond. And I think the parents that I spoke to were just so delighted with the program. They'd really found a place that was home to them. That's what really makes a school come alive. And that's really what a school ultimately is. It's not the building. As John Healey even says, it's not the building, it's the people within it. That's the thing that if you were to ask somebody from the school, what do you hope people would see? If you could show them one thing about the school, what would it be? That's exactly what they would say. It's this community, it's the people who are here. That's our greatest strength. This feature review has been published as a book, and it's also available online at ourkids.net.